thank you all for joining me today. My name is Michael Smith. I'm National Consumer Education Manager of Janome Canada, and I'm here on our new Janome HQ to present to you A to Z with Janome. So this has been a very fun series. Thank you all for your wonderful support. It's been really great, and I'm very excited to share all these little tips and tricks and all these fabulous pressure feet and accessories for Janome, again, to share the Janome love, as I say. So if you were with me on Monday, now, in case that you miss any of these lives, they're going to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 2 p.m. So they'll be in the stories for 24 hours afterward. But if you then miss them or to go back and review, these will become videos on the Janome HQ YouTube channel. So you can watch there, subscribe. There's a little bell icon that you can select, so you'll get a notification for every time a new video is uploaded, which I'm trying to stay on track. So they'll hopefully be there the day after the lives. So Monday's live was brought to you by the letter A. So there was our cute little AP applique foot. So I made my sample using that. And then Wednesday was the buttons and buttonholes, so B, with our cute little T foot, T for Tanya, for doing all these beautiful drawings. And then we use the buttonhole foot B, the clear foot, and also the automatic buttonhole foot R, and the large automatic buttonhole foot LR. So we used a lot for then. So today, Janome's A to Z with Janome HQ is brought to you by the letter C.
Celine says C, yes, Celine.
Yes, exactly. Oh, that's perfect. And C as the circular attachment. And, you know, funny, I always think of Celine because she's often demoed this at many of the shows, like Canada and Creative and all that. C is the circular attachment. And it's one of my favorites, available as an optional accessory. So you can check in with your Janome dealer and make sure that you get the correct one for your machine. There's a couple of different models. They all look about the same, and they all look about the same, but the exception is on the back of the blister pack here. It shows you this is your bobbin cover, and I will bring up my bobbin cover, and it says actual size, and it is. It's my easy set bobbin, as we call it. And why it's the easy set, it has this thread cutter here on the side. So as I thread my bobbin, I go over these guides and it cuts my thread. So that's the easy set model. It says on my pack that it's circular attachment for easy set model. And again, I've got this little drawing. So even if you contact your Janome dealer and tell him which machine, or tell her, tell your dealer which machine that you have, and they'll be able to send you the correct one. When we're able to go into stores, I always suggest to people, take this little bobbin cover with you, and that way you know you've got the correct one. Now, inside this blister pack is all the instructions as well. Janome is great for that, to include all the blister packs. So now, why having this the exact size for your machine is because this is my bobbin cover, and I'm going to take it out, and then this plate is what is going to go in place of my bobbin cover. So remove your bobbin cover, set it off to a side, don't lose it, although you can always get an extra one from your Janome dealer. So I'm going to put this plate down on the bed of my machine, and that's why, again, we need it to be the correct one for our machine. Now, in with your circular attachment is this little screw, and don't lose that little screw because it's going to screw into your needle plate. Now, before I do that though, let me bring this back up and show you that this is again the plate that fits into my bobbin holder, into my bobbin plate, and then it's got this little ruled slide here. I click that over and it slides. And then there's this cute little, I call it a little top hat that I can take off. Now this pin is very sharp, so be very careful. This reminds me of the protractors the compasses we used in school. Remember that, where you put it down and then you make a circle? In essence, this is what we're doing, that we put our fabric over this pin, and then it can slide along this rule here to make really small circles or to make really big circles. So it's a very cool tool or attachment. So I'm just going to click it here along one of the guides and then put that down in my machine. Now, a lady at one of my seminars said, and I use the little screw that's in my needle plate, and then I can screw that into place. A lady at one of my seminars said, oh, if you lose that little black top hat, just use a wine cork instead. But first you have to empty the wine bottle to get the cork. So then I was thinking, oh, well, then that's perfect. If you drink that bottle of wine and your stitches don't turn out beautifully, then you don't care at that point. So why not use a wine cork? So that works out well. Now, I can use any stitch, really, in my machine to do with my circular attachment. Recommended, though, it's to use the F foot, or the F2 is what I have here, the open toe foot. And that has the F feet have the groove on the underside of the foot. So if I want to use decorative stitches, for example, for my circular attachment, then I can, the groove on the bottom of this foot allows those stitches to feed in evenly. So that's very good. So circular attachment, when would I use it? So this little placemat, for example, start something small and get comfortable using the machine. So this little placemat, for example, I don't have to do a full circle. Maybe I just want to do radiating equal spaced lines. There's a little bit of decorative stitch like the little French knots used there. So you can use that. Again, something very simple. Or how about this was a little quilt sample. Oh, Francina's watching. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you'll get some tips. Maybe I'll even sell you a Janome machine. So this is a quilted sample. Now, again, applique. Monday's episode was about applique. You can even use decorative stitches to put down your applique. And some of the fun decorative stitches, the playful stitches in our machine, that's the spool of thread and it says sweet. All of this decorative stitches and this heavy satin stitch were all done after the fabric was pieced, but before it was quilted. So all of this was done. Then the 3 layers were put together, the backing, the batting, and the top. And then these straight lines, circular stitches, using just regular straight stitches, that's what's actually tacked it down to affix all 3 layers together, just the simple straight stitch. So very simple and easy. So you can even quilt with your circular attachment. As I have here, this big table runner. So you can break it up. Even I just have a little circle in here and even an arc here in amongst all these straight lines. So I thought it would be nice just to break up all the straight lines by having some radiating lines, and they don't have to be equally spaced radiating lines. You can play again with the guide, the ruled guide on the arm of the circular attachment to vary your spacing here. So that's an option. Now, what stitch you use, again, it's really good to experiment because some stitches will join together a little easier. So hopefully you can see this. So as I stitched here around, then you see, oh, it didn't quite meet up. So I extended my diameter of my circle, and as I radiated out doing these multiple rows, I also lengthened the stitch. So it's a combination of the diameter of your circle and the length of your stitch of how it will join together. And again, you just experiment. So when I got up to this row here, they joined together pretty good, actually. And when I got up to this row, like they joined almost perfectly. Like that's really good. I might remove like 1 or 2 stitches and it would be beautiful. Most of the time when I present these at seminars and people say to me, oh, unless you pointed it out, I would never have known. So it can be really close and be okay. This row here, again, I extended the diameter of the circle, but I also lengthened the stitch a little bit, and this joined up perfectly. That was amazing. This one, again, a little bigger. Okay, there's a little bit of overlap here, but I could remove like this little bit of satin stitching up here, and then you'd be none the wiser. It turned out really, really good. So you just need to experiment first before you do your good project. Now in the back of my fabric here, if I'm not going to quilt through my batting and my backing, and my top, then I have stabilizer on the back of my piece to support my decorative stitches. Now, you will be so sick of me mentioning, because I've mentioned it every day so far of these presentations, you'll be so sick of me mentioning this Madeira stabilizer pack. But I really, really do love it because there's 12 different stabilizers. Some are fusible, some are water soluble, some are just tearaway. Like, it's so good. And they're big sizes too. Some of them are about a foot by 2 feet. So you really get a lot to experiment with. There's a book here to describe when you'll use what stabilizer for what project. So it's really good. So I like using those. In particular, I like this cotton stable, which is a tearaway, but it's also a fusible. So you would fuse this to the back of your fabric just to hold it in place, to support those decorative stitches and tear it away. We also have another, which is the cotton soft, and there's actually cotton fibers in this, but there's no fusible. This will just tear away as well very easily. But depending on the density of your decorative stitches, you maybe don't want to use tearaway. I would instead use like a water-soluble one, so I could remove the excess water-soluble stabilizer easily and then spritz it with water or immerse it in water to remove the rest of that water-soluble in and around all that decorative stitching. That would be easier. Now, something I like to help if I'm not using a fusible stabilizer, but I want to have a temporary tack to hold the stabilizer to my fabric, I love using this artistic tack spray. Now, this is available from your Janome dealer in addition to that Madeira stabilizer. Contact your dealer and see if they carry it. If not, they could likely order it in for you. I love this artistic tack spray. A little goes a long way, so I find it more economical, but also I love it. It has low VOC, so that's the volatile organic compound, so it's low VOC. So very good to, again, temporarily hold your fabric in place while you do all that stitching. So when I'm getting ready to, I just have these little samples here. Again, as I'm getting ready to practice with my circular attachment, just do some little samples. Here's some stabilizer on the back. And again, experiment with your decorative stitches. Or again, could be a straight stitch, any stitch. So as I went around here, this one joined up pretty good. I see the join there, but not bad at all. This one here came around, a little bit of overlap, but I could remove those couple of stitches, maybe you can see, but I could remove a couple of stitches and it would be totally fine. And same down there, it joined together down there, remove those couple of stitches, it'll be totally fine. When I'm doing decorative stitches, I like using some decorative thread. So in my machine right now, I have the Iris, beautiful, maybe I'll bring it down here that you can see. I'm using the Iris polyester embroidery thread. We also have the beautiful Madeira embroidery thread, the polyneon in particular. I left mine at the office. I looked for it the other day, so I love using that. Unfortunately, it's not home with me, but I love this Iris polyester embroidery thread. And those are also available from your Janome dealer. So yes, please, let's keep our Janome dealers very busy. And they are still, many of them are still operating, that you can call them or email them. They may not be in the store every day. So again, a couple of days, maybe a little bit of patience, but they're there to help you. So any products, any concerns, any questions, certainly if you want to order a circular attachment, please reach out to your Janome dealer. You can go on our Janome.ca site, and up at the top is a Find a Dealer tab, and you click on that and you enter in your province and your postal code, and it will tell you all the dealers, so you can contact them and see if they've got what you need. If not, they can order it from our warehouse. The boys in our warehouse are still there as well to ship product to you. So again, we can totally hook you up during all this craziness. So yes, when I'm going to practice with my circular attachment, I just, because I'm going to do a complete circle, I just can either fold my fabric into fourths to find the middle, or I just measure and draw on the center there. So very carefully, I'm going to take off my little top hat, and I'm going to place this under, lining up that pin. So again, be very careful, and then take your little top hat to put on right away. Now again, decorative stitches, I can use pretty much anything, or again, regular straight stitch. I'm going to use our hand look quilting stitches. That is something new for the Continental M7. It's a whole category of these hand look quilt stitches. So that's the little leaf icon. One leaf is all beautiful and perfect, but the next leaf over, it's a little, I call it wonky. Little wonky stitches. It's a little more artisan, a little more crafty. So I can scroll through. I've got many. I think there's 52 in total. And I'm going to scroll to, and I'm going to use number 34 is this leaf design. Now, I like using a lot of these leafy, undulating, vine-like these stitches, because even if they overlap or slightly are close, you really don't see the join. They mesh together very well. Or I like using, this is one of the heirloom stitches. I like using these stitches as well, because even if they don't slightly line up, it's pretty close. So it's fun just to experiment. So this, oh, I just need to finish threading my needle. I will lock it, use my needle threader, unlock it. Very simple and easy. So when I go to do my circular attachment, I'm all good to go here. I can turn down, especially if I'm using more dense decorative stitches, I like to turn down the speed of my machine. Our Continental M7 goes 1,300 stitches a minute. So when I do the circular attachment, again, depending on how big my project is, especially if I'm going to be using it to quilt through many layers, I do like to slow the speed down. Now, speaking of space here to use your circular attachment, I have 13.5 inches to the right of my needle. So how fabulous is that to spin my project around? So now I'm just going to get going here. Now the nice thing about using the circular attachment is I can watch it, but I really don't need to babysit it too much. I'm just going to let it do its thing. And you know, many times when I was at the Janome dealers, I'd have this using the stop-start button, so my foot doesn't need to be on the power control. And I would be turning my back to the machine and talking, and everyone was astounded, like, oh my gosh, you're not touching your fabric. You're letting the machine do its thing. The machine is stitching all by itself. Well, yes, I don't need to really manipulate this too much. Now, as I stitch, though, depending, especially again, if I'm stitching through multiple layers, and if I find, oh, maybe the top layer of my fabric is creeping a little more, I can stop, raise my foot, smooth down my fabric, and continue. I really don't want to manipulate this too much. Now, sometimes if I've got really thick layers, I might hold my finger down on that little pin, but it is quite a thick pin, so quite a high pin. So it pretty much just stays there on its own. But if I need to give it a little extra help, I could hold it down here if I need to, but overall, I really don't need to do much babysitting. So as I get close, I'm going to just cut that thread. Now I could have, for decorative stitches, also raised my bobbin thread first, but I chose just for speed not to do that. Now as I get close, I like slowing down, and I like seeing where is my stitch gonna go, where is my needle gonna go, and I try to stop it just as it looks like it's gonna hit one of the patterns or it's gonna start overlapping. And then I thought, okay, it's already hit my other line of stitching, so I'm just going to cut it off to remove it. So I don't know if you can get in really close here. So there is where my stitch, I stopped stitching there. This is where I began. So I could unpick those stitches at the beginning and it would be really close. Or I could have stopped stitching before this little leaf started to form. And as I'm coming over here, I could have stopped stitching like right there. So then I could have removed, again, the beginning here, and that looks like it would join up. So it all depends, because in fact, here I just did a little bit of tweaking and it overlapped perfectly. So it just depends, again, on the diameter of your circle and the length of your stitch. In this case, it overlapped perfectly. I just need it to join. I don't need it to overlap, actually, but I just wanted to see. But this is where, again, slowing down your speed of your machine and going really stitch by stitch by stitch, then you can anticipate where the needle is going to move. So it's nice to write a little sample like this. And when we get back to doing classes at the Janome Sewing and Learning Center in Oakville, Ontario, where our Janome head office is, or our Janome HQ, Janome headquarters, then we're going to be doing this a lot of the times for classes. I love making these reference binders, basically, because you're not always going to be using this attachment every day. So it's nice writing down this little log. Oh, I used hand look number 34. I had it set at 5 inches. And this is what produced this beautiful stitch. So that's a good, easy reference. Now, you might be familiar with our AccuStitch software. It is a software program that is available for a number of our embroidery machines or embroidery combo machines, like the 15,000, for example. Now, and I bring this up because some people then said, when we came out with this AccuStitch software, it allows you to stitch in a circle and they join up beautifully. So then they said, oh, if I can stitch in a circle in my embroidery machine, then do I need to throw away my circular attachment, or I need to throw it in the drawer that I never use it? So I said, oh no. So I did these 2 samples, and then this is what I would show at seminars and say, can you tell which of these samples? One is done with the circular attachment, one is done with the AccuStitch software, done on the computer, and then again, I put it on a USB and stick it into my embroidery machine to stitch it out. So one is done by circular attachment, one is done by AccuStitch software, and you can use those 2 pieces together, some technology and some non-techno technology together. So this one, for example, is my circular attachment. And I can tell because I can only go down as small as this is 2 inches diameter. So with my circular attachment, I can only go so small. I can go down smaller with my AccuStitch software. Here is my 2-inch diameter circle, but I could go in even smaller with AccuStitch because, again, it's software in the computer. However, because I'm using the AccuStitch software with my embroidery machine, I can only go so big, so wide, because of the hoop size of the embroidery machine. So this, I believe, was about 8 inches or so. That's only as wide as I could go based on my hoop size, whatever machine I have. Whereas this guy, this is like 11.5 inches, I think. So I can go bigger with my circular attachment. So this is where I say you can use both the technology and the non-technology together. I can go smaller with my AccuStitch software, but I can go bigger with my circular attachment. So yes, you can use these 2 together if you have the AccuStitch software for your embroidery machine. For example, the Continental M7, I wouldn't be using AccuStitch in that machine because it's not an embroidery machine. So it's a really fun technique, though, to do this circular stitching. Ooh, I'll show this sample again because you see this heirloom stitch turned out beautiful. This stitch here, decorative. Oh, I got a little bit of overlap, but not much, so that was beautiful. This one here, beautiful, turned out perfect. This one, a little bit off on my rope, but not bad. My little stars here up at the top, they came together really well, but there's not as much of a gap. As you see, there's a little bit of gap in between those stars. These stars, as they joined, didn't quite meet, or met a little too close, but overall not bad. Straight lines, no problem. Of course, they're going to meet. This line here, I love showing people this blanket stitch, and many of the seminars I went to, the students said, oh, I love that you show your mistakes, because then, and I do, because then you won't make them. And, I'm just a sewer like everybody else too, and I make mistakes constantly. Although I call them creative solutions, not mistakes. So here, what I was talking to earlier about, you really don't need to babysit your fabric too much. You really don't need to manipulate it. I thought I was helping my fabric as it was turning around and stitching. I thought I was helping it by holding on to it and helping it get through the machine. But I ended up getting this little blip here because of that. So overall, no, hands off. Let the machine do the work. So again, and of course this was my last row of this sample, but this is why I thought, no, I'll show it and say, keep your hands off. It's good. So that is our circular attachment. Oh, one last thing I wanted to show you is, and what a cool use for it. So yes, you can do it decoratively. How about, again, or to quilt all layers together. So how about doing, if you're a quilter especially, you will know this is the Drunkard's Path block. It can be named many things, but Drunkard's Path is most of us know it as. And inserting this little pie wedge can definitely be a problem for some, because it's that curved piecing, can be difficult for some. So instead, use your circular attachment and apply this as an applique. I thought this was brilliant. I say that because I didn't make this up. In fact, I inherited all this from our fabulous former Janome educator, Linda Pedzmecki, who is now one of our fabulous Janome dealers in Georgetown, Ontario, actually at the Sewing Cafe, her and her partner Anna from Georgetown. So Linda came up with this. I thought it was brilliant. So I did this big square, but you can do it any size. So you've got your big background square of fabric, or little square, whatever size it is. You cut out a circle here, and then you apply it onto your fabric. And this is where I would use that artistic tack spray to temporarily adhere it to my fabric. Now I've drawn on big horizontal and vertical middles so I can get the exact middle of my big circle here. And using any stitch I want, Linda used a satin stitch, a really tight zigzag, so it's going to finish off that raw edge and sew all around. So I use that with my circular attachment. So once I get my applique affixed to my fabric, I come back and I cut on those horizontal and vertical lines. So then it produces these cute little pieces. I'll lay them down on the machine. So there is my circle that I've stitched with my circular attachment with the satin stitch. And then I cut them apart there. So now I can rearrange these blocks however I want to. It's really fun. So Linda did a sample like there, putting all the circles together that way. So I think how cool. So you can use your circular attachment for piecing and then quilting your whole quilt together. So I thought that was a really, really cool thing. So any questions, any concerns? No. I wanted to give you all the heads up, though. I'll mention it next week as well. I'll be coming back Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 2 p.m. to do the Janome HQ Instagram lives. But Wednesday, May 20th at 3 p.m. I'm going to be at Janome America's live Facebook page to do a AccuFill quilting seminar, so that'll be very exciting. And while you're on the Janome America site, it's Janome Sewing Machines on Facebook, and then they're also on Instagram, Janome America. This was just posted yesterday, so I hope you all go on. This is our fabulous Parts and Notions coordinator, Tanya, drew these all for, in Canada, it's coming up Victoria Day weekend. So if you're looking for things to do with the kids, they can go to the Janome America Facebook page or Instagram and print these out. And this is a special thank you supporting our first responders, those on the front lines, doctors, nurses, EMT, all the grocery store employees, anyone who's allowing the rest of us to stay home and stay safe. So I thought this was a really cute, fun project as a thank you to them. There's a word search here, coloring. This was my favorite one, was the help the thread find the needle. So help to thread the needle was really cute too. So you can find those Janome Sewing Machines on Facebook page or Janome America Instagram. And then I will see you all next Monday at 2 at Janome HQ. This will be stored in the stories for the next 24 hours, or then it'll be posted as a video on our Janome HQ YouTube channel. So go there to subscribe, and again, hit the little bell icon to be notified when videos will be posted next. Enjoy your fabulous Victoria Day weekend, or wherever you are in the world. Enjoy your weekend, and I will see you all soon. Bye.